Hey, it's Rena with LYLO Crafts. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I have about 30 examples of different farmhouse, country, heartwarming crafts to share with you today. They are easy DIY projects that are so super budget friendly. So let's jump in to the first one. They are 4 inches, and the stencils that I have are made for 4-inch wood slices or 4-inch circles. I will put a link to the wood slices as well as a link to stencils or the similar stencils from Amazon in the description below. And you can see I am pairing them up to see which ones fit on which. So for instance, this one will not fit on this piece of wood slice, so I'm going to have to save this wood slice for another project. So I've got my first 6 laid out here, and what I am going to do is paint them with black chalkboard paint, and I will put a link to some chalkboard paint in the description below from Amazon. And then what I want to do is fill them in with white paste, right? So isn't that great? So I'm just shaking up the paint here, and I'm going to put it into this disposable styrofoam cup that I have, and I laid down some brown paper just so I wouldn't get it onto my work surface. And what I'm doing now is just double checking the stencils against where that hole is drilled in them. And my husband did drill those holes for me, so I just want to make sure that the words or the pictures are still going to fit and that they're not going to get caught up in that hole. So now we are ready to paint, and I just have a, inexpensive paintbrush that I got from the Dollar Tree. And when you are applying your chalk paint and you're going around the edge, you want to leave it full, meaning leave the paint full on the brush and then slowly pull down. And so what I'm doing now is just taking the excess from that brush and filling in. But each time when I'm going to go around the edge, in order to make that smooth, I am going to fill my paintbrush up and then draw it just until it starts to run out. And I'm going to empty that paint onto the rest of the disc, and then I'm going to keep repeating until I have the disc covered almost all the way to the edge with the black chalk paint. So I've got this almost all the way filled in, and now what I'm going to do is go in and try and smooth out all of those brush strokes that are on the middle. If you leave too much paint or too many brush strokes on there, it will not be flat, and therefore it will be harder to do your paste and your stencil on top of that. And so as I pick up that excess of the paint, so that I don't waste it, I am just putting that onto the next wood slice that I am painting, and so I'll have a start on that one. So now that I've got all my paint evened out, I am just going to double check with my stencil to make sure that all of the stencil lines that are going to be filled with white paint are going to fit into the black painted area. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to have to go around and get even a little bit closer to the edge. Now I'm going to just put the stencil underneath the wood slice so I don't get them mixed up, and I'm going to go ahead and paint out the rest of these discs and let them dry. And now we're ready to apply the texture paste. I am using Tim Holtz Opaque, and you want the opaque so that it is not translucent, so that you will be able to see what you stencil on here. So I'm just making sure there's no, dust onto the disc, and I'm placing the stencil on. I'm going to hold it firmly in place. And I'm not going to tape mine, but you could go ahead and tape yours. Again, I'm going to double check where that hole is and make sure that I'm not going to be stenciling where the hole is drilled. And I want to make sure that I have the wording right side up. So on one of them, I realized that the hole was on the bottom, and so I would have been stenciling upside down. And what I'm doing here is checking the stencil. There was a piece that was not fully pulled out of the stencil. So I'm just removing that with tweezers. And now I'm stirring my texture paste up. I am putting it onto a palette knife and I am ready to start applying. So I am going to work my texture paste and push it into the stencil. And what I'm doing is making sure that I am going in one direction to begin with, and I'm applying it a little bit thicker, and then I am going on a slight angle and I am pulling that texture paste off back onto the spatula and then applying it back onto the stencil and re-smoothing that out. And just like the paint, you want to make sure that you try and take down the ridges with your palette knife. Otherwise, when you remove the stencil, those ridges will show on your design. And so I am just slowly working my way around the stencil, and I am moving my fingers to hold that in place as I continue to apply that paste. I've got my stencil all filled in, and now what I'm doing is just making sure that I can smooth out all of those ridges. And now we're ready for the reveal. You just go ahead and slowly pull it up, and wow, look at that. I just love the way that that turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on and stencil the rest. I wanted you to see that if you make a mistake and maybe it's not quite all the way filled in, wait for it to dry and then go ahead and re-stencil over it. Here are how they turned out. So this one, I did add some red stickles to it to really enhance the sparkle. Added this double bow and then the black cording with a metallic red cording as well over here for the hanger. And look at that snowman. He is just celebrating with his hands in the air. I think he's so cute. And this one says joy to the world, which I love. And this one I added just tiny little silver stickles and a little bit just on the points of the star. And then I used a silver snowflake ribbon to go with that one. And then I've got these right here, which this one is Merry and Bright, and these have just a ribbon tied with a knot, the red and black with the black and red cording again. And this one, as you can see there, has just a teeny bit of the red stickles, and the same with this one, Merry, Joyful, and Blessed. Next, I've got these two right here, and these also with the black and red cording, but the bows also with the black and red cording also. Baby, it's cold outside, and all is calm, all is bright. I've got these right here, and I made so many because I'm going to be giving these as gifts to people. So I really got on a roll with these. I was having so much fun. So this says Merry Christmas with the trees, and this one just has a tiny bit of gold stickles with a more natural, the navy and green color ribbon on these. And this one has just a little bit of gold stickles with love and the manger scene and glory to the newborn king. And so then I've also got these two, which are black and silver cording and silver stickles, good tidings of great joy, and the wise men. This one is just plain with black cording, so you do not have to put a bow on it. Let me just say, you definitely don't have to put a bow. And this one I did with jute. I really do love the jute with the wood slice as well. Silent night, holy night, and oh come let us adore him. And here's how it looks in the tree. Our next project involves these poinsettia bushes and sprucing up these little planters that we have by our door. And I got these from Walmart, and the first thing we are doing is pulling apart the stems to spread them out. So it already looks better just by doing that simple thing. But I did purchase some additional greenery to add in, and what I'm going to do is take my wire cutters and I'm going to split each of those branches off. And next, I have this giant poinsettia bush that I got from Hobby Lobby. It was a bit pricier than the Walmart one. So what I am doing again is cutting off all of the branches, and I am going to put them in two piles because I do have two of these duplicate planters. And I want to say that we always in California put in real poinsettias, but because we are where it freezes, the poinsettias would freeze outside, which is why we're going with a faux option this year. So now we're ready to begin. Everything is split apart, and I am taking some of those beautiful poinsettias from Hobby Lobby, and I am inserting them into the planter that we got from Walmart. And what I realized is it's just a little bit tall, so I am gonna pull those flowers out, and then I'm gonna cut them down again with the wire cutters to make them more the right size. Okay, now we're ready to try it again. And so I am placing these Hobby Lobby plants more in the middle and spreading out the Walmart items more to the side. And now I'm adding the greenery picks in also, and I've got those on either side. And what I decided was, you know what, it might look better if I even added some more that would hang over the side of the pot. So I ran inside and I grabbed some more greenery that I had. What's nice about all of this greenery is it is all wired. And so what I am doing is bending the edge over. I am pushing it into the planter of the poinsettias, which is styrofoam, and then I am spreading out the greenery on both sides. And I am using two different kinds of greenery in two different colors to add some additional texture. And now I'm just giving it a final zhuzh to make sure I like the way it looks. Oh, I just think it looks so festive and welcoming to our home. So I purchased these trees from Hobby Lobby, and I have two of them. And I used them on this side, but the back side was blank. And now we're doing red and black checks. So last year I bought this fabric and I just used fabric glue and I glued it to the back of these. But I feel like they look slightly unfinished. And so what I wanted to do was to take this, I have this cording in my stash and it's a bit thick. Not thick enough for what I wanted to do here, but it is a bit thick. So what I was thinking is I could make it in three, basically, and go around this and finish off the edges to just make them look a little bit more finished, to add this nice black trim. I'm gonna take quite a bit of this off. So I'm gonna fold that in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. Now, because I do want this to dry fast and to hold it in place, I'm gonna use hot glue. But I'm gonna only be able to squeeze a little bit out at a time. Now, would this have been a much easier project if I just go and buy a thicker black cording or ribbon? Yes, absolutely it would be. But I want to use what I have in my stash. I have a lot of things, and so I don't want to keep buying things if I can make it work with something else that I have on here. And I am trying to lay the cords not fully flat, but trying to make sure that they don't cross. And you want to make sure when you do your corners especially that they don't move. So you've got to have enough hot glue in there to hold that in place. And you also don't want your glue seeping out, so be careful as to how much glue you put down. And you can always go back and pick it off, like with tweezers, if you've got too much hot glue on. Hey, I finished going around, and so just so you can see the difference, I really think that black makes a huge difference in defining the edges and making it look so much nicer. We do want to go ahead and put some greenery down here on the bottom and probably a berry. And so what I want to do is start off with a little bit more of this like wispy greenery. So all I'm going to do is just cut a couple pieces off here. Okay, and you can get greenery anywhere. You can get it at, you know, Dollar Tree. You can get it from Temu, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, you know, Walmart. You can get it anywhere. Okay, so I've got that. And then I think what I'm going to do is just pull one of these little branches off, and I try to find the flat side so that when I'm hot gluing it into place. This one for this side. Okay, this side looks a little flatter. Now I have these little berries. I kind of think a little one of these would be nice. Now I'm just going to take my wire cutters and clip off the end, and then I'm going to bend that stem underneath so that I can get it ready and shaped to hot glue in place. And now I think it needs just another pine cone, so I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that one in place too. And I think just to balance out the top, it's going to need a little bit more greenery on the bottom. So I go ahead and detach my branches and hot glue those in place also. And so here is how they look side by side. And let me show you how they look on the mantle. Okay, so now I wanted to do a different variation on these wood ones with stencils again, but this time with something that's called a wood burn marker or a scorch marker. So also available on Amazon, and I will put a link to a similar one from what I bought in the description below. Let's go ahead and do one together. And so this one says, Christmas begins with Christ, and less is more. You do not need to saturate this to make it work. So I'm just going to hold my stencil down, and I'm going to take my scorch marker, and I'm going to go just inside, and I'm pushing good, but you know, you don't have to go over it like 20 times to make sure that the chemicals or whatever is in this pen get through. So I'm just... And again, you want to be kind of fast so it doesn't have time to soak in to the wood and expand. Now this is kind of a long word, so hopefully we'll be fast enough here. Okay. Okay. And if it doesn't have enough, you can always go back over it once you hit it with the heat. I am using a Zizix heat gun. So you do want it to be hot. If the heat is not hot enough, the color won't turn to a dark brown. And I want you to know that I am doing this in real time so you can see how long it takes. And also, you want to move your heat gun around. If you leave it in one place too long, there is a chance that you could scorch the wood with the heat. Oh, I am just loving how that looks. Now, just this one line right here in the A, I probably will go over that. So let me line this up. And then I'm going to do that last. So I'm going to just go ahead and go in here. Now you could write freehand too, but okay, let's just try and hit that one spot. So now I'm gonna go ahead and finish this stencil up by heating it and then going ahead and adding the last word in and heating that up. Okay, I love that. I really love it. Oh my gosh, I think it's going so great. I just wanted to share a couple things that I learned. Number one is watch out if there are knots in the wood. So this one has a natural knot. I didn't even pay attention to it till I got to child. And so that would not work. But this would work perfect for painting with the black chalk paint. So I am gonna try and reuse this one with black chalk paint. Okay, the other thing is the bolder the design, the more it shows up. So see how these are pretty bold, especially this piece on earth that really shows up. This one with all these words, for unto us a child is born, does not, in my opinion, show up as nice as like peace on earth. And so you can use a variety of things to go ahead and, you know, make your hangers from this. What I do is just cut off a piece of my twine, and then I'm gonna string it through here. And because my knot is not big enough to put both ends through, I'm just gonna put one, and I'm gonna tie a knot down here. If you wanted to add a bead, this would be the perfect time to like add a wood bead if you wanted to do that. And you would string both ends through, but I think that would be awesome as well. Okay, so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull these together, and we're just going to make a loop and then pull through and push that knot up. Okay, and then we're just gonna cut this off even. Okay, so you can have it as simple as that. If you wanted to add like a bow to this, you totally could. Okay, so I've got a little bow here. I'm just going to clip these ends off similarly. Okay, so just like that. So I'm going to just take some hot glue, put it on the back knot, and just apply it to where this knot is. You could apply it down here if you wanted to hide the hole. You could definitely do that. So let me just go ahead and do that. You can always put just a dab of hot glue. I think I got a little bit too much, so I'm going to take some off and then decide where you want that, and you can glue it right in place. Putting the glue on just the tip right here, we're also helping it to stop from fraying as well. And just like that. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Okay, now the finishing touch is I'm going to add some stickles. I am using what is called sandstone, which is not, it's more of a coppery gold. And so I'm just gonna test it over here to the side and make sure it's coming out. And then I'm gonna add it to the star. And not coloring it in, I'm just adding a few little dashes right where the lines are. Okay, and then I might add just a few little dots around the edge for additional stars that are twinkling in the night. Oh my gosh, I think that's absolutely gorgeous. Just stunning and so simple. And this is how the first Scorch marker one looks, and this one has just a bit of silver stickles, and this time I used silver and red cording. This one, this piece on earth, I added a little bit of red stickles, and then it has a red velvet bow and just a little bit of greenery on that. And then this one, red and black cording with a tiny little pine cone and a little bit of red stickles. Okay, in this one, I used a natural colored velvet ribbon on this and just a teeny bit of gold stickles for Peace on Earth. And then these three right here, I used the jute twine and a jute bow and just a bit of gold stickles to add to that. And this one, I did not add a bow at all. So, you know, however you would like to decorate them. So the first thing we're gonna do is grab some wire. Okay, so then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your wire and you're going to slide it in between towards the top of the pine cone, and then you're gonna find a place where you can pull up towards the middle, okay, on both sides, just like that, and then you can twist that, okay, and that's gonna be your hanger. So I know that some people like drill holes and put those like eye hooks in, which is awesome, but I don't know how to work a drill. So I always use wire, and the beauty of this is, look, it just hangs perfectly straight, and what you do is you just take this and wrap the wire around your branch. Now I have a fake tree, so that's going to be plenty strong enough or plenty long enough. If you have a real tree, you might want to make your wire a little bit longer because the branches might be a little bit thicker. Next, what we're going to do is add some greenery, and so I have this little piece of greenery. Kind of snip off the end because that's a nice long piece, and then I might even snip one more little bit of branch, and this is faux cedar that I'm using right here. And so now I've kind of got 3 points, which I think will be fine. And then I want to also use some of this pine branch, and so it's just on a little pick like this. So I've got this one that I have been working with, and I've already cut off the stem. So now that's 2 pine branches. And because this is a larger one, I'm gonna go for this one on the end over here. And actually on these, you can just pull them off. So I have 3 and 3. All we have to do is take our hot glue, and then I just lay a little bead of glue down, and I start with the cedar. And then I always put it so that the curling side is down. And I like to hold this against my stomach to hold it in place. I find that it tends to like flop around when I put it on my desk. So I'm gonna do that. And if we are going over a bumpy part, like I am right here, you may have to be super generous with your hot glue. Now, don't worry too much about it if it is showing, because all of this, the center part, is going to be hidden with a bow. So you're gonna see these end parts, but really not the center part. And it is very, very hot, so you know, you don't want to stick your fingers in there. I'm using hot glue, not low temperature glue. So you definitely don't want to get your fingers burnt. They do also have these like silicone pieces at Dollar Tree, like in the makeup section. They have a makeup one. It's like this, and this is all silicone. So any kind of silicone little apparatus, whatever you can find for the cheapest, is what I suggest. I'm gonna push that down. Now we're just gonna add the pine. I'm gonna put the 1 pine branch right there and hold that in place. And then what I'm gonna do is just come over here. Basically, I'm putting the branches in between the cedar so that no matter which way you look at this, you will be seeing beautiful branches. Okay, so I'm going to apply some hot glue on the back over here. And I'm just going to come and make sure that my little hanger can still work. And if you use wire ribbon, it's all the better, because then you can go ahead and fluff it back up each time it gets smushed, or after you put them away for the year, it might get smushed. And these are just little berries. I'm gonna put 2 on this side, and I'm gonna put 1 on the other side, and I'm gonna put that one right there. Okay. All right, I love, 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 love how this looks, and I just want you to see this. If you prefer a more like woodlandy theme, like a neutrals, look at this. Is that not gorgeous? So look at this. So this one is smaller. This pine cone is almost 8 inches, in length, including the bow. And this one right here, including the bow, is about 6 inches, and without the bow, about, 5 inches. But look at that. I think it is so pretty. So here it is on my tree. So I am going to try and put a link to all of the items that I talked about in Amazon. They are affiliate links. It'll be my first time trying it. And if you are so sweet to click on one of those links and to purchase an item, I might earn a small commission. So I just thank you in advance for doing that. So thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.